What's better than a cordless circular saw? Top of the line cordless rear handle and worm drive circular saws. And what better way to test them than in a time trial showdown on the PTR circular saw test track from ProToolReviews.com. Thanks for clicking on our video. We hope you enjoy it. While you're here, consider helping us out by hitting the subscribe button and give us a thumbs up if you like what you see. Once you're finished watching this video, check out our side-by-side Milwaukee versus DeWalt cordless rear handle saw review. Cordless rear handle circular saws are designed to meet the needs for pros who are trying to cut the cord on their worm drive. Now, currently there are 4 primary players in this field: Makita, DeWalt, Milwaukee, and more recently, Skilsaw. We've got 4 different voltages we're working with today: 18, 36, 48, and 60 volt max. There's a lot more than just pride on the line, as each one of these saws is trying to prove that their power source is the best. So we're going to give them all the chance to strut their stuff on the PTR test track, where we've set up a series of cuts to assess their real-world potential. The track starts in 2x10 pressure-treated pine with 5 standard cross cuts. Then Tom, our resident pro, will need to make a quick adjustment to find 45 degrees for 5 bevel cuts, and then back to 0 degrees for 5 45-degree miter cuts. Next, things get tougher, and we'll expose any flaws in the guard movement as we shift to compound cuts at a 45-degree miter and 45-degree bevel. Tom will have to make 3 cuts in the more comfortable direction before switching to the opposite side for 3 more cuts that have a trickier start. To wrap it all up, Tom will send each saw through a single 4-foot rip cut and double stacked 3/4 inch OSB, and will stop the clock. All told, he has to make 3 bevel angle changes on the track, and weight certainly comes into play while making these 22 cuts as quickly as possible. Milwaukee's M18 Fuel 2732 Sidewinder currently has the best time on our test track at 1 minute 35 seconds, and the slowest that we recorded among the 7¼ inch saws is 3 minutes 41 seconds. Makita was the first to get a rear handle model on the market with their 36 volt XSR01. It's the lightest in the group by far and has a couple of years of field experience over the competition. It's cutting pretty easily through the crosscut section, but slowing down some on the bevels. Back over to the miter cuts, and it's looking more confident now. Tom's definitely having to ease up to keep those RPMs high through the compound cuts, though Makita's low friction shoe and excellent guard action are helping make it a smooth effort. Over to the OSB, where Tom is driving it hard, and that's a good finish. Next up is the DeWalt. DeWalt followed Makita to market with their Flexvolt 60 volt max DCS 577, making a jump in power over the first generation Flexvolt Sidewinder. Out of the gate, it's flying through the first section and doesn't seem to be too bothered after shifting to those tougher bevel cuts. Onto the 45-degree miters, and it's making quick work of those too. Even the compound cuts aren't slowing Tom down, but it does look like there's some guard hang up there. Through the OSB confidently, and that looked pretty quick. Milwaukee's M18 Fuel 2830 debuted in 2019, taking advantage of the M18 line's boost in power from high output batteries. Still running on 18 volts with an advanced M18 Fuel brushless motor, it's cruising through the crosscuts. A quick bevel angle change, and it's not slowing down through those 45-degree bevels much at all. The miter cuts are no problem, and its smoother guard action is helping put pressure on DeWalt's efforts through those compound cuts, sprinting through the OSB sheets, and man, that's going to be close. The most recent cordless rear handle saw is Skilsaw's 48 volt True HVL worm drive. It's the first cordless tool from Skilsaw and the only true worm drive in the group. Engaging that worm drive, and there's no problem through the first 2 sections of the track. Tom was able to make his bevel adjustments easily, and it's keeping pace through the miter section. Calling on more power, it's still confident, though a tiny bit slower on those compound cuts. Hefting the heavier saw over and driving through the OSB, that's an impressive effort from Skilsaw. Well, that was certainly a workout for the saws, and for Tom. What's interesting about this group is they're all first-generation models. Even for Makita, that's been out for a couple of years already, the performance and runtime are so relevant, there just hasn't been a felt need to upgrade them. In fact, every single one of these saws outperformed our 15-amp corded worm drive in multiple layers of testing. With that said, let's take a look at the results. All right, so Makita finished in 2 minutes and 42 seconds. Now, that's about a minute off of the lead, but it's still well ahead of the slowest saws that we've tested. If you remember back to our DeWalt versus Milwaukee rear handle video, the 2 saws were so close that there was just 1 point separating them at the end, and we couldn't concretely say which one cut better. Well, we're hoping for some separation this time, and DeWalt cut in 1 minute 39 seconds. Now, what's interesting about that is that's the exact same time we got from the 2nd generation Flexvolt Sidewinder saw. Milwaukee's rear handle took aim at its own Sidewinder, sitting at the top of the leaderboard, but it fell short. In fact, it fell short of overtaking DeWalt as well, finishing in 1 minute 47 seconds. Finally, as the only true worm drive in the group, Skilsaw put in a solid effort, finishing in 1 minute 46 seconds and sneaking in just ahead of Milwaukee. Before we wrap things up, let's consider some context. Even though Makita's rear handle saw was slower than the others, there's a lot to be said for its significantly lighter weight. When you're making a lot of cuts the way Tom was, it's a lot less fatiguing. For many pros, the weight savings are well worth taking an extra second or two per cut. Our other three saws were all within 8 seconds of each other at the end. Now, DeWalt's time was excellent, so let's not take anything away from its lead in the rear handle category. However, when you factor in human error, these saws are so close to each other that it's unlikely you're going to notice any difference in cutting power when you're making the types of cuts that we did. The PTR test track is a lot of fun, but we know you need more information to help you decide which saw is best for you. To learn more, check out our individual videos or head over to ProToolReviews.com to read our full written reviews. Have any questions or maybe have some ideas for us about the next PTR time trial video? Be sure to leave us a comment below, and as always, thanks for watching. Help us out by subscribing to our channel below. If you enjoyed what you saw, hit that like button and turn on notifications to stay up to date on our latest videos.